Right now, the Erie County District Attorney is providing a live update about a complaint against Senator Chris Jacobs. We take you now live to the DA's office for the update.
I have determined that no criminal charges will be filed and that there is not enough evidence to go forward on any of the allegations that were made. I'll specifically go into each allegation. There were essentially 3 allegations that were made by the complainant. I'll just say right off the top right now, it's my understanding that at this point the complainant has not come forward and stated who they are. I personally find that kind of weak, quite frankly, but it is whatever it is. If you're gonna, in my opinion, if you're gonna put your name on something, you come out there and say who you are. But so no, I understand people don't want to come forward for whatever reason. So I will not identify who the complainant is. If the complainant wants to come out on their own and say who they are, then they will. But I am not going to identify the complainant. I would like to, quite frankly, but I'm not gonna. I'll be consistent in that regard, where there have been other complaints, anonymous, that were made on other cases in the past here, and I have not divulged who the complainant is. So I will remain consistent. And additionally, to be serious here, even though I think it's kind of weak that the complaint doesn't come forward, I think it's important that if in the future anyone comes forward and they want to be anonymous, that they know that I will not reveal who they are. But I think it's important to note that, just so you know, the complainant never asked me not to reveal who they are. So I never promised them that I wouldn't do it. I'm just going to do it because I think it's a stand-up thing to do, and for me not to do it, where on the converse, I think it's a stand-up thing to do if you're going to make a complaint of this nature, to identify yourself. So that's my editorial. So anyway, bottom line is I'm not going to reveal who the complainant is. So anyway, the complainant identified 3 separate allegations. The first allegation is an offering a false instrument, where the allegation is that when Senator Jacobs circulated his designating petitions in January, February, and March, that he put down his Orchard Park address on those petitions that were circulated. And the allegation is that he did not live at that Orchard Park address, therefore, by putting that address on the petitions was fraudulent. That's the allegation. Now, if you want to get technical about this, those designating petitions were not filed in Erie County. They were filed in Albany County at the State Board of Elections. So I believe that the actual filing would not be under my jurisdiction. In any event, I don't believe there was an intent to defraud. In any event, the statute clearly says that the individual knowingly, with a written instrument, contains false statement of information with intent to defraud. And I have no evidence that Mr. Jacobs intended to defraud anyone. So that charge is put to bed for a couple reasons right there, quite frankly. The second 2 allegations are illegal voting and false registration. The illegal voting charge is that when Mr. Jacobs voted last November in the general election on November 5th, 2019, that he voted in Orchard Park from his Orchard Park residence. And the allegation is that he did not live in Orchard Park at the time, therefore he should not have voted in Orchard Park on November 5th. The third allegation is that when Mr. Jacobs registered to vote on September 3rd, 2019, he registered to vote at his Orchard Park address, and again, he did not live there when he registered to vote. So let's be very clear here, okay? These three allegations contain three specific either specific dates or specific time periods. One time period would be the end of January, February, and beginning of March of 2020. The second allegation, the exact date is November 5th, 2019. And the third, the exact date of the offense, alleged offense, is September 3rd of 2019. So the bottom line here is that Senator Jacobs, in June of 2019, purchased a home in Orchard Park. At that time, he put down a significant down payment in June of 2019. So he paid for the house in June of 2019 with a significant down payment. He closed on the house on September 30th. Since September 30th, 2019, he has continued to pay utility bills at the house. In addition to that, he put down a substantial amount of money to refix and refurbish the house after the closing date. So we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars that he put into the house and that he bought the house with back in the fall of 2019. Now, I'll concede that when he registered to vote on September 3rd, he hadn't closed yet, all right? Was that the smartest thing to do? Probably not, but it's not criminal, all right? He didn't have any intent to defraud anyone at that time. So there's no intent to defraud there at all. In addition, under the election law, it is legal to have two residents. And Mr. Jacobs, who voluntarily came into my office on his own and voluntarily talked to us and gave us the whole story, readily admitted that he owns two homes. He owns a home in Buffalo and he owns a home in Orchard Park. And he readily admitted that during the COVID-19 crisis, he lived more so at his home in Buffalo because his mother lives near him, and he wanted to be near his mother to stay and help his mother out during the COVID-19 crisis. So he readily admitted that he spent more time at his Buffalo address. That is not a crime. It is not a crime to have two residents. There is nothing in the law at all that says that you have to live at one resident X number of days for X number of hours in order for that to be your principal residence. So there's no requirement in the law for that whatsoever. Mr. Jacobs has a reasonable excuse as to why he stayed at the Buffalo address over the months of February, March, April, and May to watch and help out his mother, who lived nearby during the COVID-19 crisis. And so there is no evidence whatsoever that Mr. Jacobs, one, does not intend to live in the Orchard Park home. There is no evidence that there is an aura of sham here at all, which is key in all of the election law cases where individuals establish a second residence or another residence. There has to be an aura of sham. There is no aura of sham here at all. You don't spend...
You're listening to District Attorney John Flynn discussing allegations of voter fraud that have been brought against Chris Jacobs, and him discussing the fact that Senator Chris Jacobs came into his office and explained himself earlier today. We'll have much more on this throughout the evening and at WGRZ.com. We'll be back with more First at 5 after this.